Hi, everyone. We're going to be doing our chapter read aloud, and I know you have absolutely loved the Lemonade Wars. And we have read 4 books, and we're just starting our 5th one. So I just want to remind you the first one was the Lemonade War, then the Lemonade Crime, the Bell Bandit, and the Candy Smash. So we are just starting the Magic Trap, written by Jacqueline Davies. So each day I will read a chapter from the book for you. And I know you've loved it, and I have loved it as well. So here we go. Chapter 1. Remember, the main characters are Jessie and her brother Evan. Chapter 1. Illusion. Jessie slipped her fingers along the inside of her closet door jamb until she found the secret key. Silently, she unhooked it from the tiny nail pressed into the old wood and closed the key tightly in her fist. She liked the way that the key became warm when she did this, the way it left a perfect imprint of itself in the soft flesh of her palm. As quietly as a cat, she padded over to her bookcase, and then she paused. Was the locked sign still showing on her door? Remember how they had that sign up and they weren't supposed to go in each other's room because they didn't have real locks? Sometimes it flipped around if she closed her door too quickly. It would be a disaster if someone walked in while she was retrieving her lockbox from its hiding place. Even worse if someone walked in while the lockbox was open and saw what was inside. Remember, Jessie liked to save money? I wonder how much money she had in there. Jessie never showed anyone her saved up money. That was just asking for trouble. She opened her door and poked her head out to make sure that the lock sign was in place. As long as the sign was on her door, no one was allowed to come into her room. That was the rule in the Tresky house. She could hear her mother packing in her room across the hall, a dresser drawer opening, the sound of footsteps crossing the wooden floor, hangers jingling in the closet. Jessie frowned. She didn't like her mother going away, but there was nothing she could do about it now. This was one of those situations where she would have to adapt and evolve, as her mother sometimes said. Are you wondering, like I am, where is her mother going? And remember, her father does not live with them, so I'm wondering and asking myself, who is going to be watching them while she's gone? Hey, Jess, can I ask you something? Jessie jumped at the sound of her brother's voice as he came up the stairs. Evan had been in the basement all morning, banging away at some old wooden boards. She thought she was safe from his prying eyes. She clutched the key more tightly in her hand. Not now, I'm busy. Jessie started to retreat into her room, but she stopped when she noticed that her brother was carrying a book in his hands. Evan never carried books. He didn't like books. To him, they were the enemy, making him feel small and silly. It didn't help that Jessie, who was 13 months younger, was such a good reader. She looked at the book, wondering what it could possibly be. It was old, whatever it was. The edges of the brown leather cover looked like they were crumbling, and the fancy gold lettering on the spine was half flaked off. Evan held it tightly open, his fingers curled around the edge to mark the page. It'll take 2 seconds, he said, half pleading, half ordering. Not now, Jessie replied. She looked at the sign on her door for emphasis, just so he'd remember the rule, and went back into her room, closing the door tightly behind her. Still, she waited 2 whole minutes to make sure Evan had left the hallway and wasn't listening at her door. Before she tiptoed to her bookcase, she retrieved the lockbox that she had kept hidden behind the rows of books on the top shelf. The lockbox was heavy because of all the coins that she had been collecting for the past few months. It was surprising how many pennies, nickels, and dimes that you could find if you had just kept your eyes out on the ground. Jessie's mom said that Jessie had a talent for finding money, but it wasn't a talent so much as it was a passion. Most kids wouldn't even bother to pick up a penny if they spotted it, but Jessie never let a coin pass without scooping it up and putting it in her pocket. She also saved her gift money and chore money, and now her lockbox was very heavy and made the most wonderfully rattling sound when she shook it. Jessie sat cross-legged on her bed and opened the box. There were dollar bills and coins, the blue ribbon that Evan and Jessie had won in the Labor Day contest last summer, several comment cards from her best friend Megan, postcards from her dad, and a handwritten survey about love in the 4th grade, in which someone in her class had admitted to having a crush on Jessie. Jessie wasn't even sure why she kept that piece of paper, but every time she decided to throw it out, she ended up putting it back in the lockbox. It was evidence. Of what? She wasn't sure. She stopped for a moment to look at the postcards from her dad. The stamps from Turkey, Afghanistan, Congo, Rwanda, they were like pieces of art. Jessie liked the bright colors and the strange pictures. Her parents had been divorced for 3 years now. Her dad sent postcards and packages every few months, and sometimes he came for a visit. But it had been more than a year since she had seen him. She thought about her dad every night before falling asleep, but she had learned not to ask her mother about him. She never got the answers that she wanted. Jessie organized the postcards from oldest to newest and put them aside in a neat pile. Then she turned her attention back to the lockbox. She wanted to take all the coins to the bank and exchange them for dollar bills. But to do that, she had to put all the pennies, nickels, and dimes into special paper rolls that the bank gave her. 50 pennies for a penny roll, 40 nickels for the nickel roll, and 50 dimes for the dime roll. Jessie knew exactly how much money she had in her lockbox. $81.43. She kept a piece of paper with the current total number tucked away at the bottom of her lockbox. Whenever she added more money, she changed the total. But $81.43 wasn't enough, not for what Jessie wanted. She wanted to open her very own bank account so that her money would be safe no matter what. Once her money was in the bank, she wouldn't have to worry about losing it or someone stealing it or even the house burning down. It would always be there, and it would be safe. That's why they call it a safe. She imagined the big bank vault where the money was kept, because once your money's in a bank, it's safe. Unfortunately for Jessie, the minimum deposit to open an account was $100. She was a long ways from that amount. "Geez, Jess, open up," called Evan from the hallway. "Locked," shouted Jessie. "Yeah, I know, so open up, would ya?" Jessie closed the lockbox and shoved it under her pillow. Then she went to her door and she opened it just a crack. Evan stood there with this small old book in his hands. His finger was marking a spot on the page. "What is—" he said, pushing the book towards her. "I can't even—" Jessie took the book out of her brother's hands, and as he walked into her room, even though she was only 9, Jessie could read at a 10th grade level. She had been tested. That's one of the reasons she had skipped a year, so that now Evan and Jessie were in the same 4th grade class. She began to read out loud. "The rabbit box. This, as its name indicates, is a box for causing the disappearance of a rabbit. The opening is oval, measuring about 8 inches by 6 and closed by a double flap, divided down the middle. As the rabbit requires considerable space and moreover involves the necessity of some sort of an enclosure to prevent an unexpected reappearance of the animal, it is a convenient plan to devote to a very small special table. The interior of the table should be well packed with hay, that the animal may not then be hurt." "What is this book?" asked Jessie, flipping to the cover and staring at it. She read the gold letters across the front. "Modern Magic, a Practical Book of the Art of Conjuring, by Professor Hoffman." "Oh, this is one of Grandma's books. Oh, this one is really old." She turned to the title page. "Published in 1876, she said. "Why are you reading one of Grandma's old books?" Grandma had more books than anyone Jessie had ever known. I wonder if she has more than Mrs. Cody. And now that she had moved in with the Treskys, her books were all over the house. "Because I need a big finish for my magic act," said Evan. "Everyone says you have to end your show with a big illusion, not some silly card trick." "Your card tricks are good," said Jessie. Ever since Grandma had given Evan a magic trick for Christmas, he had been practicing all kinds of tricks, which he called illusions. He could put a quarter from someone's ear. He could pull a quarter from someone's ear, make the ace of spades jump from the front of the deck up to the back, and put together a piece of rope that had been cut in half. Sometimes he would tell Jessie how the trick was done, but usually he just said, "Magician's secret." Jessie knew he was trying to work up a magic act to perform for a real audience. She wished she could do something that people wanted to see. So I'm going to stop there, second graders, and continue with another chapter tomorrow. But be thinking about, is Evan going to let Jessie be the assistant? And I wonder what kind of tricks he's going to do in his magic act that he wants to do. See you later.